All right. Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders About podcast. Today, I don't know what number is it anymore. It's maybe 350 and that range, 350. I have another great friend of mine, Ingeborg Mooiweer. Did I say it correctly?
Oh, perfect. Yes. Very good.
From the Netherlands, Holland, one of the most beautiful countries in the world. We're connected to a good friend of mine. Well, a good friend. He was referred to me by a wonderful friend of mine, one of my students and alumni of my podcast academy. I haven't had the pleasure of talking to this gentleman yet, and I can't wait, Mr. Stephen Gillen. And that's how we got connected on LinkedIn. And was it LinkedIn or email? Something like that. Email. Anyways, same. We connected and we had a beautiful conversation 2 weeks ago. And from the get-go, I knew after listening to your story for just the first 5-10 minutes, I said, you know what? I need you to be on the podcast to share your story. Here we are. A little bit about you. You're a relationship expert, survivor from narcissism. Your mother was narcissistic. Now she's passed. She was abusive, narcissistic, manipulative. Then she did the same to not only to you, but to your children, to her grandkids. And as a result of that, you suffered a lot. And then you've overcome that, and now you're working in your professional life to helping people overcome that. You help people with codependency, abandonment issues, narcissist victims, attachment issues, relationship addiction, and narcissism abuse. You also help people who would like to get into a new relationship so that they can stop going through the same patterns, attract the same type of toxic environment, toxic people. But also help people in the business world and in the world of professional world, so that, let's say they have any issues with their work, or they managing relationship and their staff, or if they want to get the next promotion, a new promotion, help them cope better, so they don't repeat the same pattern, the same limiting patterns. So you work in a few different areas, not only relationships, but also business, professional world, but also people looking to get into relationships. So you help them to not make the same mistake, the same patterns, and basically break free from those. So that's a very powerful calling. What you do in your business is that you help them go to the root cause so they can really overcome them once and for all. You're also a hypnotherapist. You use your therapeutic skills to help them get to the root cause of what's causing that, what's holding them back, why they're repeating the same pattern, not only in this life, but maybe it can go back as past lives, maybe future lives. So you're helping them stop those generational curses, mental blocks and beliefs, which is very powerful. So, and also beautiful thing you just told me, you spoke at a summit just this past Saturday about narcissism. And tomorrow you're being interviewed on a radio in Ireland, an interview on resilience. So that's a lot of things we can talk about. And I have a feeling that me and you will be doing not just this podcast, but a few more, because there's so much material content that we can dive deep. We just had a beautiful conversation just before going live on the topic of narcissism and some of the traits of narcissists. We can do an entire episode just on that alone. Yeah. So without any further ado, Ingeborg, my friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And for your very warm and good, welcome. So, and words about me. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'm happy to be here.
Very welcome. Pleasure's all mine. So we're going to talk about your work, your business, your impact, and a little bit later. But first, for people who don't know you, tell us, who is Ingeborg as a person, as a human being, as a woman?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a big one as well. Well, I would say I'm very sensitive, and at the same time, I'm analytical. And those two sides is within my character, and those two sides is within my business as well. You can see it in a lot of different things. I like really sweet colors like this pink, and I like the blacks. Or I like New York loft with like this bricks, and I like with a really smooth wall next to it. So those sort of opposites, almost opposites, but those things I really like, and that's part of my character. So yeah, I can be really sweet most of the time. I'm sweet, nice, and friendly, and but I can be stern as well, and decisive, and well, I think strong as well. That's what I always hear, and I've been through so much. I'm still here, so I can say I have a strong character. But there's a lightness in me as well. So that's two sides as well. And I have two kids, two boys, 17 and 20, which I absolutely love. And yeah, they are a big part of my world. And I enjoy being them. We have a lot of laughter as well, and like doing things with my eldest. I like driving, touring, and driving fast as well. And
A race?
it's funny, a race. I like to race. We did that a few times here in Holland as well. To Germany, where you can in some places you can. Yeah. There's no limit, so you can do that, and we really like that together. So yeah, that's a big thing. I have a pet. I like that as well. I like animals. I like dancing. I like cooking.
Oh,
I like reading. I like gardening. There's difference as well. Like the thing reading is really on my own, and dancing is on the outside. So
sure.
And traveling. That's a very big part of my life as well.
Awesome. Love that. Beautiful. Now, I'd like to start my podcast with asking my guest a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know them. Ready?
Okay.
What makes you
Yeah.
happy as a person?
When my kids are happy, when my business is growing and expanding, and I can help people, and traveling.
Beautiful. What makes you smile?
Humor. My pet doing silly things. My dog. He's very clever, and the way he looks at me, that makes me
Oh,
laugh.
yes. Oh, yeah.
Silly memes on TikTok sometimes. The dry English humor makes me laugh very much. My sons are very funny. Yeah, being in the sun. I like being in the sun as well. Makes me happy, warmth. Yeah, carefree. I would say that makes me so. Moments of being carefree. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, what makes your heart sing? What makes your soul come alive?
When I feel really fulfilled if I help someone through my program.
Mm,
They start like say on 0, or they start say on -10, to make it easy, and then they'll get to 10. And that process, and that I walk sort of next to them, that makes me really happy. It's not so much that I did something, but obviously I did, but it's like being together with someone, and where they're from, or where they started, I mean, and where they end. Yeah, that process. I find it very, very fascinating. What happens in someone's mind and in their body, and that they grasp, and they can change, and if they do the work, and yeah, it's really, really fascinating and fulfilling for me.
can imagine. Absolutely. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what makes you sad and angry?
Well, it's a really big one, but the situation in the world. It's duality in there, because I see a lot of beautiful things, but a lot of sad things as well. So that makes me sad. Well, what do you say, the sadness of my sons, because their father passed away last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
yeah, so no, it was a really tough year, and that's seeing in them well, I have my own, sadness about it as well, but seeing that, and you can't really do anything other than, being there and, giving comfort and stuff like that, but it's their grief. And as a mother, you always want to take the pain away from your kids, and you're sort of, helpless in a sense, knowing what they have to go through, missing him for the rest of their life. So that's a real sort of big sadness in my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What scares you?
The same thing, the situation in the world, and yeah, that's it actually. Other than that, no. I mean, I'm in another level. I'm scared that I hope they will be happy, my kids and the people around me. But I have very much faith in them, in their, in their self-esteem and everything, and they can handle themselves. So, yeah, my oldest son is traveling now in Asia.
I think you told me he's in Malaysia, right?
Yeah, and he's now in the Philippines.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
he's doing well, and we talk on the phone and everything. So I'm not afraid that something happens there. No, he's very sort of, hands-on and but
Smart,
it's
street
more
smart, yeah.
street smart, and he knows, what to do and what not. But it's more like the situation in the world, where it's going.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
yeah.
Let's hope that our leaders, they come to their senses and put their ego to the side. And instead of dividing, they can unify and bring people together.
Yeah, if they want to, yeah.
They want to, but the powers that be, because of money, the war is more profitable.
Exactly. Yes.
So hopefully they can
yes.
put that to the side, because if we go down the path of war, it's not going to be good for nobody. Nobody's going to win.
No, exactly. No, history told us that.
Especially now with the weapons they have, one pushing button, we all can be history.
Yeah. No more podcast.
That would be the last of our worries, That's a good way of putting it. I like that. That's okay. Beautiful. Now, what would you say is your number one personal superpower?
I can get to the root cause very easily with someone.
Is that something that
I can feel it.
Is that something you always been blessed with, or something that you learn over the years and you honed in that skill, or a mix of the two?
Well, I think, it's a mix of two. I think I've been born with it, because from very little on, I could see things which we're not supposed to see, in a sense, or, I felt I could read people. And back then I was little, so I didn't know what it really was, but I always had these inklings of, this is their problem. Whenever I was at a party, I felt, oh, they had an argument, stuff like that. I saw things happening in the future, so that I was, being born with. And then because of the environment I grew up with, I became very hyper alert, and I needed to scan my environment. I needed to scan my mother, obviously, to see what she was going to do. So it it sort of multiplied. I had it from, inside, from birth, and then I made it better, in a sense. I use it in my work now, and it's there all the time, actually.
When did you realize that you had a special skill?
Well, funnily enough, it's maybe because people start telling me that it was really special, and I thought, well, yeah, but this is what I've been doing all my life. So, it's for me, it's sort of normal. I mean, I can sort of switch it off if I want to. I never do it. I just use it. It's there. And sometimes I do, because it's a bit too much, you know, when you're in a party or stuff like that. You know, it's getting very tiring as well, because if you pick up, they had an argument, they're going to divorce, whatever. You know, you just want to be on the party and just be.
What is exactly a gift? Can you hear voices? Can you see in future what can happen? What is exactly the gift that you have?
Yeah, well, but all of that. I think how I explain it is I read someone's soul.
Mm.
So I connect on a different level, and I see things in the future, and they always, yeah, they'll be like what I think they would be. And I hear stuff, and I have, yeah, I don't know if it's really good to tell this, but I'll have conversation with someone who's passed, and yeah, sometimes I did a lot of energy work as well, Reiki master, and I help people with Reiki. And that were moments as well that I had conversations with someone from their life who passed. And they were always very happy to hear what they had to say. And in the beginning, I didn't really trust it, because, oh, maybe I'll make it up or whatever. But then it were words and sentences I never use, you know, so I knew, and they recognized it, the people recognized it. So then I knew, oh, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not making it up. Maybe it's from inside. And there was this aunt of mine, and I had a story, and I told her, and I couldn't have known the story because it was in World War II. Something happened back then. I told her, and she said, well, now I know for sure that you have this gift, which apparently runs in our family. And she said, I thought so, but now I know for sure, because this is something you could have never known because you weren't even there in World War II. So, yeah, so then it sort of became more normal for me. And I was 17 then. So since then, it's been in my life.
So who else in your family has that gift?
Well, she said my grandfather.
Okay.
And I think my father has it, but he doesn't do anything with it. I think he's not really into like the feeling side of things or whatever. But well, she said that he has it, but you know, he's never grown up with it and everything, didn't do anything with it. But I have a feeling he has the same sort of things.
This kind of gift, that's something anyone can have, or only specific people can have.
Well, they've been told, or I've been told, that everyone can has it. Maybe more, some people are more, yeah, attuned to it, maybe more receptive of it. You know, it's if you're living in your head, it's totally out of your comfort zone or anything. So, but maybe you feel something, but you brush it off. And yeah, and maybe religion has to do something with it as well, you know, like heaven and hell and things like that. Then that comes into place. Well, I don't have that, so you know, for me it's normal. So yes.
How can we, let's say I don't have that, or I haven't awakened it yet, how can I tap into that myself, for example?
Well, it's a lot of like meditation, opening your third eye, doing chakra work, doing chakra work is a lot of things. You can do it via yoga, doing a lot of meditation, start using your intuition and trying it out with like little things. You know, maybe if someone putting a number on a paper and you try to tap into that number and then see if you can read, if you have the right number, or with objects and things like that. Or the things what a lot of people actually have is that they think about something and then someone calls them. that is very sort of, well, I hear that a lot of time. They think, oh, I just thought about you. And because that person thought, well, that's sort of the energy traveling, and you pick it up even before the phone rings. And then, yeah, extending that, doing more of that. And I think the start is being open to it, and that it's normal for you, that there's more, between, well, upstairs and downstairs. Yeah.
I know it's very hard to answer this question, but because it depends on each person. But roughly speaking, for someone who's that part of themselves completely shut down, but they want to open it or reopen it,
Mhm.
if they were to do the work, how long would it take them from going to completely close to starting to see things happen and then opening them?
That's a difficult, because that really depends on someone, and how much you do with it. And I think it's, if you're open and curious, because that's what a lot of times people are not. They're not curious to see what's possible or what will happen, or they brush it off, and they're not aware. So that's the thing as well. I'm sure in everybody's life, things are happening that you could think, that's really weird, or that's really, in a good sense, really weird, different. And if you're curious, then you're open. But a lot of people are sort of close-minded, like it's not there, and they brush it off like, yeah, of course things like that happen. Yeah, you think someone can call you. Yeah, well, that's no coincidence.
And listen,
Things like that.
yeah,
That's a difference, I think. And then once you be aware and open-minded, then you realize there's a lot of things happening which we can't pinpoint. So yeah,
I
so I
heard
can't specify the time.
that's
Exactly.
fascinating. I heard some people say when you mess with that kind of things, when you open your third eye, you can expose
Mhm.
yourself to attacks from negative entities or things that you're not supposed to see or you don't want to see. How can one protect ourselves from all the negative entities? And yes, it's good to have access to that realm, but also protect yourself from demonic or possessive, things.
Yeah. What I always tell my clients, and what I did as well, is that you can be open and still, what you say, like, brush off the negative. I always say, like, put some either gold or white egg around you.
Hey, what?
It's
Sorry?
like an egg, the form of an egg. And then, make like a knot on top of it, like a veil. You put a veil,
The bulb.
I don't know,
Okay.
pronounce it, a veil around you. It's sort of permeable. You can see through it, but the negative stays outside, and you're here. And if you want, you can, send something out, but the negative stays there. And that helps a lot if you go into toxic environments and stuff like that. It's like a sort of process. It's a ritual you do every time. And you say, okay, I'm open that way, but I don't want a negative. So you're guarding yourself, you're protecting yourself. And then afterwards, if you had been in contact, wash your hands, because a lot of negativity comes into your hand, because a lot of big chakras in your hand as well. And or shower, brush it off. The thing is, like, there's a two way. The first one is this: put something around you every time you either go into your workplace or whatever. You meet someone who's kind of toxic for you, and you need to deal with them. You can do that. The other thing is, if you've been training and exercising and do your stuff, you can sort of visualize that the negative energy is going through you.
Mm,
A lot of people keep it. They sort of, they take it on. They don't have to take it on, because it's not your energy.
mm.
So visualize it's going through you. Let it be. Get loose, but that's usually, if you're a bit further, then you feel, it's not mine, it's not my energy, let it go.
I
But
see.
that's neat training. That's neat training.
Fascinating,
Yeah.
fascinating. We'll come back to that in a moment. Now I'd like to, you like traveling, right?
Yeah. Very much so.
We can do an entire episode just on traveling, but I want to take you down a different type of traveling, down
Okay.
memory line. Go back to
Ah,
when you were growing up as a child. You know, when we're kids, people around us, parents, family, neighbors, relatives, teachers always ask us, hey,
yeah.
Ingeborg, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer to that question as a young girl?
Well, I have many, but actress.
Oh,
I wanted to be an actress, and I wanted to be an architect.
mm-hmm,
I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a physiotherapist.
mm-hmm.
Well, those are the ones. Yeah. So it was like that.
Awesome, awesome. Growing up, what was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school?
No, I kind of liked it actually because I'm very curious because I like to learn things. I had many friends in school, like the teachers. Most of them, or some of them, were a bit strange, but that's of all times. Yeah, I was. Nah, maybe in high school, there were days that I sort of dreaded going to school. Like, oh my God, you have this assignment, don't want to learn, things like that, like everyone has. I
Mhm.
just want to hang out with my friends or just be at home or do something else. But most of the times, no, it was fine for me. Yeah,
Mm. What was your favorite subject in school?
I like chemistry. I liked biology.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, I like the languages, but not so much the grammar and stuff like that. That was really boring for me. I like the reading test and the hearing test and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The book assignments you had, that was fine for me. Um, the speaking was fine as well, but that's grammar. It was just boring. Just boring. It's just a necessity, something
Yeah,
like, I wanted to learn it a different way.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Cool. Imagine that we were in the same class in grade 10 or grade 11. What kind of student were you back then? Were you the shy type, the quiet, the nerve? Sorry, the nerd, not the nerve. Were you the outgoing superstar chatterbox? What kind of girl were you back then, say in grade 10 or 11?
yeah, grade 10 of 11, yeah, help me out because we have a different system. How old am I then?
Say around 14, 15, 16.
Oh, okay, that's high school. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe I was a bit quieter then.
Mm,
In the primary school, I was very sort of a chatterbox, talking a lot. The teacher always had to put me in a different spot, hoping that I wouldn't talk to that girl or that boy, which obviously I didn't. But they kind of liked me, but they always thought, well, she's talking too much. That was always on my
report.
what is it? Yeah, my report. And then it started because I grew up and at home it got worse. Then I got a bit more quieter. I still liked school. I still had friends. I still talked or whatever. It was a bit more strict, obviously. So you had to go out of class, stuff like that. Yeah, but still, I was there. I wasn't sort of not noticeable, I would say.
Mm,
Yeah, the teachers knew me, and but back then in high school, I started living on my own as well.
oh,
So
wow.
it got so worse at that point that at 16 I started living on my own. While I was still doing high school, so I was a bit more like heavy on my shoulders. But on the outside, well, that's what I learned as well. On the outside, people didn't notice. They didn't even know
Mm,
um, what was happening at home. So yeah, that's what I learned from still going on, still doing my exams, still being sort of happy, meeting up with friends, but there was a heaviness on my shoulders. I know that. Yeah.
You mentioned that you started living alone at 16. I want to ask a
Yeah.
question about that in a moment, but before that, I want to ask you another question. When you were in high school and college, were you popular with the boys?
I think I was a bit too shy, actually. That started later. Then when I went to the hotel management studies, which I did later on, then it sort of started. But I think I've always, yeah, that in that sense, I was a bit shy, and maybe a bit late as well. Not really doing anything with it. Starting late with some makeup and things like that, wasn't really in my, with girls who were like 12 doing that. I think I was about 15 or something. And I tried some lipstick on or something like that. I wasn't really in my world, maybe because I was, sort of surviving at home. Yeah. So, and I think that I didn't really notice, to be honest. Because later on, I heard there was a reunion in school, and then I heard from boys like, I really liked you and this and that. And I never realized, so
Your mind
yeah.
was elsewhere, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your environment growing up, especially at home. You said you grew up in a difficult environment. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it was very unsafe. The emotionally unsafe, the manipulation, the duality, like the conflicting beliefs in my mind. Like one moment she was nice, and then the other one she became a monster, just like that. And I never knew why, because I didn't understand. And you try to understand as a kid, well, maybe I should do different. So I start working really hard to make it better. I always wanted to make her happy, and I never succeeded, so I did a lot to make her happy. And I was always fearful. I was always has this fear of her becoming angry, and she did that a lot. Then there was the silent treatment. There were times that she didn't speak to me like for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And that's insane, looking back now. But if you're in that space, then yeah, sort of tiptoeing around the house, still going to school, coming back home. And then that her anger and her blame and her guilt tripping, that was there in the room all the time. And I didn't know what I did wrong, because yeah, I was a kid anyway. But even if I had asked, then she would say something, well, you should know.
Classic.
And I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, you should know, and I didn't. And then you try to get into their
The frame.
the good books.
Yeah.
That it's okay again. And then sort of she started pulling me in, because obviously she needed. I always say she lived her life through me. So she had a lot of boyfriends, and when they broke up, because obviously they always broke up, people woke up and saw what she was like, so they broke up, or she shoved them out. It could be as well. And then she came to me, and I had to, be her parent, and comfort her and talk to her. Even when I was like 12 or something. What
Wow.
did I know about love? But I was sort of wise for my age, and I helped her, and then she really needed me. But when someone came along, I was discarded as well. So that pull and push, something, that energy, and the not knowing, and what I said, the fearfulness, something that did the devaluating. There were like 3 things, or like 2 sort of set of lines I heard. you're fat, you're ugly, and you're stupid.
Wow.
You don't know anything, you don't hear anything, you don't say anything, and you don't do anything. And that was a sort of repetitive things in whatever situation they'll just come up. She would ask me to do something, which obviously I couldn't. I still can't to this day. Making the boiler, or fixing the boiler.
That's
And
not the
that's
job of
something
a
she did.
12-year-old or a child, you know?
No, but that's what she thought I should be able to do. And then her rage came, and then the narcissism rage, what everybody knows. And then so it's very unsafe, very
Was your
unsafe.
was your mother like that all the time, or there was something in her life that happened that triggered her and changed her?
No, there were times when she was nice, but the thing is, you never knew. And looking back now as well, you never knew if it was to get something from me, which
Mm.
obviously they need my energy. Yeah? Every narcissist needs someone's energy to make them alive, to use them and to manipulate them. If it was that, or if it was really, well, I don't think so, meant, that she really liked me. So and you was always waiting for something to happen, and I never knew why she got angry, because it's the thing you said today that was good. Maybe she laughed even about it, and then the next day she'll turn around and she just blew up. So now, as a normal person, well, I think I'm normal. You just can't deal with it. It's not doable.
Yeah. Where was your father? Was he in the picture or?
Well, my parents divorced when I was 5.
Okay.
So I lived with my mother and with my brother, with the 3 of us.
Did you visit your father? Did you come from time to time? Were you close to him?
Yeah, we went there, say, once a month. And when I was 12, he started living in England, in the UK, for his work.
Mhm.
So that it was maybe once or twice a year for with holidays and everything. So it wasn't that often.
Were you close to him? Were you able to confide in him and what you were going through and what your mother was putting you through, or he knew it and you didn't have to tell him?
Yeah, in a sense he did, obviously, because he was married to her, so he knew from his side. But I think it's maybe the back in the days as well, that nowadays it's far more normal for kids to, well, get help and talk with your parent and stuff like that, because parents, I mean, at least I am, and people for my age, it's far more normal to talk to your kids and talk about feelings and stuff like that. I remember writing him letters that I do remember about situations at home and stuff like that, and he always wrote back. But it was for more distant, especially when he was like living in UK. It's not like nowadays that you say, "Oh, I'll come over," and sort of we sort it out, or
Mhm.
we had weekly or daily, talks. No, I spoke to him once in a while on the phone, and I visited like twice a year, maybe. And then in between, there was nothing, but that was how it was usually when parents were divorced back then. The co-parenting and everything, what would people do now, wasn't like that when I was younger.
Do you have any
Not
siblings?
so much. Actually 3 brothers. One real brother, I always say, and 2 half brothers, but actually they're 3 brothers. Yeah, because my father is remarried.
Were you close to them or?
Yeah. I still am. They're still there. So yeah, and we see each other with that part of the family. We are in contact. We see
Sure.
each other. Yeah.
When you were growing up in that very difficult environment with your mother, did you have any support in terms of either siblings, family, relatives, someone to confide, someone to help you emotionally, to help you go through
Mm,
that? Because as a teenager or even or younger, it can be
yeah.
incredibly challenging, even for an adult. So imagine for a child or for a teenager.
Yeah. 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 Not really. No. 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 Because I did confide in my aunt, the sister of my mother, at some stage, but I think I was 15 then. But other than that, yeah, like what I just said, back in the days, it wasn't like that. You didn't tell your what is it, your teachers,
Of
or
course, yeah.
there was no help, no
Or
victim help or anything. You know, it wasn't like that. So maybe you should have. I mean, I never even thought about it really to go to like the general practitioner or something, or no, it wasn't like that. I wouldn't even know where to go to. That,
yes,
to be
appreciate
honest
it.
with you.
Back then there was no
Yeah.
internet, no nothing. Yeah, you had to go to the library.
No. Yeah, the library and then do what? Because I didn't even know that it was something. You
Yeah.
know, I learned that later on, but when I was little, you don't know. It's just you have to sort of cope with it.
Mm,
You know, it's not nice, and you feel something inside that it's not okay, but you
mm.
still have to cope with it.
So
Uh,
your mother was verbally abusive. Was she also physically abusive? Was she physically violent?
yeah, yeah, as well.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, she did some things like well, which weren't appropriate. Let's put it that way. And yeah, and that only sort of stopped when I left the house, because before that it wasn't like every day, but it was too many times anyway. Yeah.
What did she do, if I may ask?
Well, she uh, have like an where you put the egg. If you boil an egg, you put it on the table. I don't know how you call it.
Yeah.
Something put your egg in, and she put it, and she uh, put it on my head, so it broke. She punched me in the face,
Oh,
so I had a bleeding nose. Um, she was like stomping with her feet under my butt and pushing me and things like that.
so
So
when you're
yeah,
going to school with, say, a black eye or bruises, nobody was asking you what's going on?
no, no. No, it's yeah, it's total. Maybe I'm talking about like I'm in the 18th century, but it's it's not that far that long
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
But it's very different. It's very
yeah.
different. There's all this victim groups and things like that, and people in school helping children, you know, dealing with stuff. It wasn't even something like because your parents were divorced. No, it's just that's it. That's it. Nobody, no teacher or anything ever mentioned anything like that. And the
Wow.
only thing I remember is when I was in high school and I started living on my own, that the head teacher, let's put it that way, the head teacher said, "Oh, you're just a silly girl. You should
What?
start living, yeah, you start living at home. What are you doing?" And he never asked what's happening and things like that, because my mother informed him that I live somewhere else. And that's it.
So,
No question, no nothing. You
wow.
know, I was the only one in school. It was like a really big school. Obviously, I was the
Mm,
only one because everyone's living at home.
mhm.
It's a sad, yeah,
What was the
time.
event? Was it a specific event, or was it a culmination of all this abuse that you said is enough is enough, and you had to leave your family's home?
Well, yeah, what I said, it got like more severe and severe, more heavy, and then like in the end of that time, like say 15 or something, my brother left the house because she started studying, so the focus became all on me.
Mhm.
And then she got worse and worse in like saying, "Oh, if I come home this afternoon, you'll be out with your suitcase."
Ah,
And then she kept on saying that. And then my father came over from the UK to talk. And then I remember we were like in a hotel talking with the four of them. So my brother, my mother, my father, and me, talking about me going and living on my own. And he would support me with the money because of, obviously I didn't have any money
sure.
to make that happen. Because he could see, because I talked to him, and then realizing, that it got worse and worse, that it would be better for me to leave. So then that was the reason.
Did you think at any time to go maybe move to England and live with your father?
Well, I did when I was about 12, but then, I was sort of used to with my friends in school and the place I grew up. And I didn't, I don't know, I didn't know how to make that decision.
Did you
It
speak
was
English at the time?
no, I didn't actually. No,
Mm, that's a big
no.
hurdle for sure. So when you were talking with your father, your mother, and your brother about you living on your own, once your mother realized that, hey, she's gonna leave the house, I have nobody to blame, did your mother try to prevent you from living on your own? Did she try to stop you, or what was her reaction?
No, first she said, maybe you can live with your aunt for a while, which I did as well. I did. I lived with my aunt, the one I mentioned earlier, her sister. That was nice. Then I remember she came by and, stuff like that. She trying to get into my good books again. And
Get
she
you
asked
back,
me if sorry?
to get you back.
Yeah, to get my back, to get me
Ah,
back in. Then she asked me if I wanted to come home for Christmas, and I didn't want, but I felt obliged.
mm,
So because that's the sort of codependency thing you get into, I said I always want to make her happy, so I did, and I thought, well, maybe that makes her happy if I come home and live there. So I was there, but after that it got worse, and then I had that conversation with my father, with the four of us, and then I moved out.
so
So yeah,
so when you left and lived with your aunt, were you in in the same city or as your mother, or a different city?
it's a different city. Yeah, she lived in a big city, and we lived like in a smaller place.
Mm,
So yeah, I had to travel. So for my aunt, took me like two buses and what is it? A tram? Yeah, I don't know.
tramway.
Yeah, tramway. To get to my school, and I put a bicycle there, and then
Mm,
so
wow.
yeah.
And when you, okay, so I see, wow. And how, so your father was helping you to pay for the rent and food when you were living on your own.
Yeah.
When you lived on your own, were you relieved, or were you kind of lost because you're still a child in the process? You're like 15, 16, you still need
Yeah.
a family home. Wow. What was going on to your mind at that time?
Well, at least it was quiet.
Yeah.
At least there's no one blaming me for something. And the thing is, because I was very independent already, because I had to do a lot of things at home. I had to do the washing, I had to do like cleaning, I had to get groceries, cooking, stuff like that. So I knew, for that was not a problem for me.
Mm,
It's just like sort of another room, relief from not being bombarded and manipulated and everything. And I knew how to cook. I just bought my groceries. It was a bit sort of unhandy because I had to travel to school, which was
mm,
quite far away as well. Um, but yeah, that's the thing. You just do it. You don't really have a choice. Um,
mm,
yeah, and I find a friend. She was like across the hallway from me. It was nice. We cooked together because I know how to cook. And then I got a boyfriend, which was nice. He was living in the same city, so my life started there,
mm.
and yeah, away from her.
Fascinating. So when you were living at home with your mother, how was that affecting you mentally, emotionally, but also in your results in school? How was that affecting you?
Well,
Not sorry, not only just in school, but also in your social life
yeah,
as a teenager and as a young child.
yeah. Well, I must admit, I have I had to do the exams twice
Mm,
because of, especially towards the end, I just couldn't concentrate.
no peace of mind. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yes, just so in the survival mode,
Mm,
and what is it, the fearfulness, and like I just said, the things that she came into my room and was saying, oh, if you come back, then you have, you get your suitcase and you be gone. And I didn't know where to go, so at the end I'll just, sort of cycling around our little city, trying to find a place with a
mm,
friend. I remember I didn't have any money, but I thought, oh, I have to leave, so I have to find somewhere to live. But that's not really the good state of mind to doing your exams and to concentrate. So yeah, I had to do it again. I failed, I didn't pass, so do another year. But that year I already lived on myself, on my own.
Some people, when they're going to abusive or narcissistic relationships, what they do as a
Yeah.
way to prevent their time with them is when they finish work, for example, they stay outside as long as they can and come home at the
Yeah.
last minute just to sleep. Did you do the same, like for after school, just you said bicycling around, staying out with your friends as long as possible, so you have the least amount of time at home and you're kind of dreading to go home to be in that environment? Did you go through that?
No, because I wasn't allowed to,
Mm,
because she
had a
was very
curfew.
strict.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, she was very strict, and I had to be home, you know, say for dinner, or I had to be home, yeah, whatever. And in the evening, I could go to my sports if I wanted to, but then afterwards, I
mm,
needed to come back. So yeah, and I didn't do that because I didn't want to get her angry again.
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, you stay between the lines.
So when you started living on your own, you were 16.
Yeah.
So once you made the move from that toxic environment to living on your own with peace and all that, how did it affect your results in school? Did you see a drastic change? Did the teacher were completely surprised?
I don't think
What's
so.
going on with you?
Yes.
What are you eating? Tell us.
Revelation.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I wish. No, I mean, I made that year. I went to the hotel management studies, and there I was fine actually, because that was something I liked as well. All these different subjects. I'm very curious, and I was doing fine. I had good grades. Yeah. Then yeah, it was easy for me. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Mhm. What was your very first job? And do you remember how much you got paid for your first time you worked?
Ooh. No, that's a long time ago. But I would say was something, because after my study I went to London to live in London,
Oh, wow.
work in the hotel industry. I
And
think it
sorry,
was some,
in the which industry?
the hotel industry.
So were you was your father also in London? Were you close to him or a different city?
No, he was up in Chester.
Ah, okay.
And then he was already back because he came back when I was 17.
Mm,
And I moved when I was 21, almost 22.
mm.
So yeah, 22. Yeah. Yeah, so in the hotel industry, and I think it was about £600 at that time. Not much.
For what?
Wasn't
Per
much
week?
because
Per
London
month?
was, yeah, for a month.
Okay.
It was a lot of was very expensive, London, obviously.
Oh, always.
Still is, yeah. And I remember one time my rent was about 325, so I had 275 left per month for, like, well, whatever, eating and things like that. So it wasn't very much,
Mm,
but I had a good time.
sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you were away, whether living on your own or when you left to England, was your mother trying to still assert some control over you, or she was slowly fading away in the background?
Well, there was in and out as well, because obviously I had the physical distance, which was good. And we called, we had phone calls, but that wasn't, very, very often,
Like how
because
often?
it cost a lot of money as well back then, talking on the
Use
phone.
use those calling cards?
No, we had just like the landline or
Ah,
something, the
okay.
real old phones, like that. I don't know, every couple of weeks, that's normal because it cost a lot of money. So I will call sometime and then she'll call me. So it wasn't that often because of the money as well.
Were you looking
Uh,
forward to the calls, or were you dreading those calls? Or neutral?
Sometimes I did, because I could tell what I was doing, and I was going out a lot, and I was dancing salsa, and
Oh, wow.
I had all these things happening in my life. So it was, and because it was a totally different world. I was living with a friend of mine I knew from high school. It was really a nice time, and having this job in a really nice hotel. It was, the time of my life,
Living the life,
actually.
huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Wow. Fascinating journey. Thank you. We can dive deeper into that. And there's so much more that we haven't even explored that we can do. I'm sure we'll do quite a few fascinating episodes. But let's call it a day for today for part 1. I can't wait for
Mhm.
part 2. Listen, I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. And wow, what a conversation. And if someone wants to connect with you, Ingeborg, what's the best way to do so?
Well, they can find me via my website, metamindbreakthrough.com. They can find me on LinkedIn under my own name, Ingeborg Mooiweer. Instagram is my own name, and Facebook as well. Well, everything where you put in my own name, then there's only one with that name anyway, apparently. So you always have the good one, and that's me. So it's my own name, and there you can find me.
Okay, I'm checking your website right now. Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow, awesome. Okay, cool. I'm excited. I can't wait for part 2. As I said, I salute you to leader with a heart. Keep shining your light, keep blessing the world, your presence, your impact with everything you're doing. And God bless and have a great day, and talk to you very soon next week. Take care, my friend.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.